Escort girls of Reddit, have you ever been caught by the clients? So, how did that go? Sort of the other way round, but I found out the girl I was dating was an escort when she texted me instead of the client. True story. Two wives of clients knew about me because their husbands flat out told them, under the sad misapprehension that once they were divorced, we'd be free to have an unpaid relationship. The first time, I was flattered, conflicted, and saddened. The second time, I was pissed off. You threw your happy home life away because you just hoped some college girl was going to ride off into the sunset with you? Now I only do 2-hour maximum sessions, because I've found that clients who book overnights or full day sessions are the most likely to lose their grasp on the reality of the situation. Somehow, sleeping next to someone is more intimate than fricking them, and it makes these men confused. Somehow, sleeping next to someone is more intimate than fricking them, and it makes these men confused. Just chiming in to say as a guy I definitely agree with this. Oh boy, do I have a good one for you guys. This happened 2 months ago. This guy was in town for business and booked me for an hour-and-a-half golden shower session. Now, the way this hotel room was set up was you open the front door, and the bathroom is to your left and you can clearly see the bathtub right as you walk in. So about 45 minutes in, I'm standing over him in the bathtub in full lingerie giving him his golden shower while he masturbates. He comes full force right as his wife opens the door. Me, standing over him, peeing on his dong. Him covered in my pee and his own CM. She just stands there in awe for a few seconds as I start taking my pee-soaked panties and stockings off. Then she starts silently crying. He doesn't move from the bathtub and just has his head in his hands and looks like he's doing from embarrassment. I feel like I'm about to cry because the situation is so bizarre and intense, but I swallow my feelings enough to remain composed. Please just take your things and go. I won't call the cops. Just leave. I will need to rinse off in the shower really quick. I'm so sorry, but I can't walk through the lobby like this. Whatever. So I rinse off, grab my things and go. Neither one of them have moved. As I walk out, I say please try and understand that fetishes are really hard to discuss with a partner, and they don't go away. I wish you the best. Thank you. 2 days later I get an email. It's his wife, explaining that she doesn't understand her husband's fetish and asking me to give her some insight into where to start researching. I sent her some links and my own story of having this fetish, and thanked her on her husband's behalf for being so understanding. Dang. Possibly saved a relationship. Way to go. Ex-phone dominatrix. On a call with a dude and someone picks up the other line. It is his elderly and disabled mother, and she needs his help to get out of bed. I tell my caller to go take care of his mom, and we can talk more later. His mom thinks I'm his girlfriend and is so thrilled at the thought that her son has an actual flesh and blood girlfriend that she tells him to finish talking to me. She can't wait. I hung up because I didn't get paid enough to deal with that. It was super sad because his mom was so delighted that he had a girlfriend. I never heard from him again. Another caller hated his wife and wanted to be feminized while talking about what a bee his wife was and how disgusted she would be at his sissy desires. Once he got caught talking on the phone to me while literally hiding in the closet. Heard his wife say, "What are you doing in there?" My caller yelled back that he was organizing the winter coats while hurriedly zipping up his pants and hanging up on me. Same caller once tried to send me $500 in gift cards, but the credit card company called him to make sure it wasn't a fraudulent charge, and his wife answered. He managed to talk his way out of that one, too. At this strip club I worked at, one of the dancers had a daddy that came in legit almost every day. He actually was good looking and charming. His wife saw his car in the lot and pulled in and tore past the bouncers and ran into the VIP area. They were back there. It came to seconds of them getting caught. She didn't get her tip that day, so he tripled it the next time out of guilt. Whoa, there was next time. Some people. I worked as a dominatrix years ago, and during those years I had acquired some regular clients. This particular client worked in another province and lived in another country, but all the same was a very good client. He told me that he was separated from his wife. However, when he went back to his place in the other country, she found my dom number, called me. She was asking me who I was and how many times I saw him and etc. It went okay besides her yelling and him pleading not to say anything. I don't even remember what happened after that, but he still remained my client after the whole ordeal. So I was the girlfriend that caught my fiance soliciting an escort. I found the texts and the link to the Craigslist ad. His reasoning was we had been having problems and he was never attracted to me. We just got along well. I left after that. That's like marrying your friend when you guys are both single after 30 and made that pact back in college. When I was pro-doming, I had a great client, one of my favorites. He was this older guy, worked in construction, who liked to be dressed up like a pretty girl and humiliated. This is an incredibly common fetish and easy money. For his 60th birthday, he decided he wanted to try getting pegged. That wasn't something I'd do for just anyone, but we had good rapport and the idea delighted me, so I went ahead and made him my bee for the evening. He loved it. We had a great talk afterwards about how liberated it made him feel. How, as he got older, he wanted to try new things, and how he wished his wife could understand and be adventurous with him. This is not an unusual conversation. What is unusual is that the guy apparently told his wife, "I got a nasty email telling me to stay the heck away from her man." I never responded and never heard from him again. I hope they made it. This is why you get out all the gross stuff while you're dating. My fiancé and I found out pretty early that we both like stuff in our butts and it all went pretty smoothly. I used to practically run an escort agency here in the UK. Started off as a driver, then covering the phones, did interviews, the photography and maintaining the website. Had 2 occasions of girls getting caught by spouses, but one sticks out more than the other. Had a regular client who would book a girl for 3 hours a few times a month when his sir was on night shift. Not sure why she came back, but she pulled up outside about 1 AM with another hour left of the appointment. As she was walking to do the door, I realized who she must have been and got out my car to loiter for when the inevitable hit the fan. We had a policy the drivers would not leave the girls for safety. Not really had an issue, but helps the girls feel safe. Anyway, so walks inside. I hear a load of shouting and make my way towards the front door. Girl busts through door wearing nothing but lingerie and a strap on. We rush to the car and start driving the 30 mile or so back home when she realizes she forgot her bag. We's only made it about 10 mile. Guess who had to go back for it? I turned up. Police there. I knock on the door and have to explain myself to the police. They hand over her bag and clothes and take my details should they need a statement. Let me take girl home and that was it. Client never booked again and no idea what happened to them. Police never got in contact with either of us. Can only assume they were called out by neighbors for the arguing. I'm sure that was terrifying, but the image of her running outside still wearing the strap on is pretty hilarious. Third party story incoming. I knew someone who began going to escorts. My friend was his GF and she noticed he had missing hours in his schedule. Apparently he'd lie about being with friends or where he'd been. I thought she was being insane and clingy, but she finally snapped when a group photo of a work event that didn't have him in it popped up on FB. She asks around. He wasn't at that after work event despite saying he was. So being a sane individual, she hid her phone in his car. She tracks it from her house once he's done with work and is likely up to no good. She sees her phone is showing at some expensive apartment building where the car is parked. She goes there, smashes his window, retrieves her phone, then calls him with it. Not sure about much after that, but apparently he had white powder all over his face. Needless to say, they aren't together anymore. So being a sane individual, she hid her phone in his car. That made me laugh. This happened to a good friend of mine. Wife had taken their teenage daughter hiking for the entire day and he thought he'd have some company over. Apparently the daughter got sick and they came back much earlier than expected. She walked in on her husband being led around on a dog leash wearing their daughter's panties. Went as well as could be expected. They got divorced last year. Daughter went to my school, but left town after all that went down. Went as well as could be expected. Well, according to some videos on the internet, they got divorced last year. Oh. I've been stripping for years. Only once, of the hundreds of times I've given out my number, has a wife called me. She was initially angry as frick. Her husband had been sent to rehab for alcohol and drugs. He wasn't working. She was the breadwinner, and he had spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on partying. His phone was full of girls' numbers, strippers, random girls he was freaking. She was going to call everyone in his phone book. My name begins with a yo mama, so IDK how far she got down the list. She asked me why I was stripping and I told her about college and whatnot. She wasn't angry with me at all, but very angry with him. She promised to come visit me sometime. Crazy F. She asked me how much he gave me and it wasn't much, just a $100 bill for a $20 lap dance. His friends were giving me money too, so I figured I should keep in touch with them. I spent the money on a couple of school books the next day, which she was okay with. Smartphones get even smarter every year, so the stuff is easier to hide than ever, but people who constantly lie can't hide it every single time. Ex-front desk at high-end hotel here. One of my classics. Older couple, early 60, walks in fighting. They ask to be checked into their room. We do everything. Bring them up to the room and about 30 minutes later the guy comes back down and says frick it, give me another room. I don't want to sleep with that B. And while you are at it, find me an escort. We explained to him prostitution is illegal so we can't refer one to him. Yet if he looks on the last page of this newspaper he might find what he is looking for. We create a second room for him and off he goes to his new room. Shift change. My front desk agent goes home and gets replaced by an intern for the night. Girl walks in. Clearly an escort. Sorry ladies, after 2 full years of night shifts, we can see most of you coming a mile away. To those who are actually nice to the us and don't give us a I'm a rich guest attitude, thumbs up. We appreciate this. It might save you down the road. But the intern didn't click it was an escort. When she asked for Mr. Smith's room, the intern found 2 rooms in the system and decided to just give one. His mistake. FD never gives out room numbers. 15 minutes later, I'm sitting in the back office, hear the bell of the elevator and hear a woman screaming, where is that freaking butthole? He is going to hear about this. My brain immediately clicked and when I walked out I found the wife, dragging the escort by the hand demanding the room number of her husband. Yup, the intern sent her to the wrong room. When Mrs. Smith answered the door, the escort mentioned something in the lines of our Mr. Smith didn't specify it was for more than one person. Mrs. Smith immediately clicked. We checked Mr. Smith into the neighboring hotel that same night. He wasn't too happy. I had a very close friend that was an escort for a while. She met a man and they hit it off. He would show her pictures of his wife and children. Eventually the man has the brilliant idea to stage a beating at a bar with my friend and his wife. The plan was for my friend to seduce the wife, they would have a 3-way and all the guy's dreams would come true. It freaking worked. Not only did it work, my friend became a mistress to them both long term and ended up nannying their children. You can't make this crap up. You can't make this crap up. There are at least 1,000 porno movies that involve this very situation. Double that for Skinamax type flicks. Not exactly. I lost a pair of clients, a couple, because in the days after the call we all flirted and sexted on the phone. Her boyfriend, myself and my boyfriend. One day I get a message from her boyfriend's phone, and assuming she was there too, I started chatting with him. Nothing too racy at all. She walked in, found him texting me and lost it. I never saw them again. It really sucked. They were super fun. She was the one with the money. She was a high-powered businesswoman, and he was kind of her kept man, like a same-age cabana boy. The first time I saw them, they kept me for 4 hours at 380/hour. It was wild. I still have pics on an old phone somewhere of her fricking herself with a bottle of Jack. Before anyone asks, number. She was super hot too. Toned but curvy, tanned, short, blonde hair, freckles. Dude, you just made me actually consider doing this with my BF. You are good. I had a friend who was discovered, but only a few months after his death. To make a long story short, we knew each other from school and he went on to be a bigwig lawyer for a company out west, married a beautiful woman and had 2 healthy kids. About 6 years ago, he went blind one day. He just lost his sight out of nowhere. They went to the doctor and discovered he had eaten meat tainted with mad cow disease. He quickly declined in health and passed away. Friends and family were just shocked. Very sad. His wife kind of put all his stuff away and waited a whole year before she could process going through it all. This was when the iPhone was still new and her son asked if he could have his dad since he had passed away. She was reluctant at first, but she pulled it out of storage and charged it. The phone was full of pictures, texts, and emails from a high-end escort company. There were even recent emails asking him where he was or why they haven't heard from him. This discovery sent her down a dark path and his family had a whole other issue to swallow. Last I heard, she had spent all the insurance money she got from his death and got bolt-ons and other plastic surgery. Throwaway account. I was the client. Backstory: married young, 20, from extremely conservative background. I was an extremely selfish sex addict. I visited escorts, strip clubs, illegal brothels pretty consistently for the first 8 years of my marriage, so had no idea. I lived a pretty extreme double life. Relevant part of the story: I became emotionally attached to the last escort I met. We had mutual interests, even had some mutual acquaintances. I considered leaving my so to be with her. I hated myself. I felt I deserved to be with a drug-addicted prostitute. I couldn't handle the weight of my addiction. I didn't want to hurt my so anymore. I came clean, so was devastated. Right or wrong, she wanted to know everything. Every detail I could ever remember. Went through my phone and found the number of the last one. So texted her to corroborate my story. So was still in disbelief, and came to realize that she was in a bad way in her drug addiction. My so is a son and offered to help the escort in any way possible, and they had sporadic contact over the course of the next few months. My so was never mad at the other girl, actually had a lot of sympathy for her. The other girl eventually got herself the help she needed, and as far as I know is out of the business and is clean. Our marriage deteriorated. We separated, which was the final push for me to get the help I needed. After a lot of bumps and a lot of therapy, my so graciously allowed me back into their life. It has been a struggle, obvious trust issues, anger, hurt, but we've made it through. The wounds I created have left scars that will probably always be there, and I have to deal with that. I have to do everything I can to make it right because my so is worth it. She doesn't hold it over my head anymore, but I still struggle with the guilt at times. We just had our 15th anniversary. No so involved in this one as he didn't have one, but it does give a different view on escorts, etc. One of my work colleagues got married and we all got invited to the reception. Some of his friends from outside work were chatting and one mentioned a guy they knew and if he'd be bringing his girlfriend. They all had a laugh at this, which us work guys thought was odd, unless she was a blow up doll. He did turn up. Had to be one of the most unattractive men I have ever seen, but his girlfriend was this stunning brunette. Hot wasn't the word. Once a month he used to meet up with this escort. Same one every month. For a couple of years now. They'd gotten to know each other well and he'd asked her to be his date for the night and she agreed. I spent a bit of time talking to her and she said he was a really sweet and genuine bloke who knew his looks would always be judged, and when he'd asked her to come she gladly accepted, but as a friend and not an escort. I mentioned that I was surprised he hadn't asked her to marry him. She said he had a few times, but she was earning good money as an escort and didn't want to be sleeping with her clients while in a relationship with anyone. So if you had finished with being an escort, would you marry him then? In a heartbeat. He's everything I'd want in a husband, she said. This was 20 years ago, so they may have tied the knot since then. Friend of mine is a male sex worker and massage therapist who mostly sees other males. It's not uncommon to have sessions with married and straight guys. One lady found out about her husband seeing my friend, I don't know how, and came down to this place screaming and carrying on, banging on the door, claiming he enticed this guy into homosexuality, etc. Ooh, okay, lady. The next day they found someone spray painted "G," their spelling not mine, and some Bible verse about homosexuality on the front door of warehouse space. The thing is, my friend didn't live there, just rented the space by the hour for these sessions. Not a girl, but about a year ago one of the guys I was seeing paid extra to film a meeting with his phone. Apparently he had never told his wife he was into guys, and he had definitely not told her he was banging one. About a week after our meet I got a text from his number saying it was his wife and to never contact him again. Never did learn if they worked it out or not, but I'm guessing it didn't go well. You have been visited by the cute pupper of charisma and flirting. Smooth talking and successful flirts will come to you, but only if you comment, "Hey there, pupper," below this picture. If you are new to the channel, you can subscribe. I publish new videos every day. Until then, check out another video, or don't. Either way, have a great day, you magnificent people.